We're going to give good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give it just a minute here while we let everybody get in here. It's going to take just a second for everybody to load in, and we'll get started here in just 1 second. Okay. All right. Just a brief note. Today we are going to be recording this presentation. Thanks everybody for joining us today for what's become one of the more attended and popular subjects in our webinar series that John and I have done. Obviously talking about Social Security. Today you're going to be stuck with me and me alone. John is off doing a college visit with his son Michael. And although he's thinking about us, he's not going to be able to join us today. So as we get to the end of the year here, just want to take a moment and wish everyone a happy and healthy holiday season. I hope you all have the opportunity to spend some time with your families this month and just enjoy their company and build some wonderful memories with everyone. Before I introduce Brian Doherty, just a bit of housekeeping. I want to encourage everybody to ask questions on this. Social Security can be a very a complex topic. Brian breaks it down to the bottom line and the lowest common denominator, but it can be pretty complex. So if you have questions, I do ask that you just type those in the Q&A box down on the bottom or wherever you have your toolbar. We won't interrupt Brian during his presentation, but we will make sure that we get to all your questions afterwards. As I mentioned, this presentation is going to be recorded, and we will send the link to everyone after it gets through compliance. So give that a week or so, and we will get that to everyone. I have to touch on a brief disclosure here and just let you know that even though we're not going to talk about any investment products today, I do have to remind you that the products that John, George, and I talk about, they are not FDIC insured, not deposited to the bank, not guaranteed by the bank, and subject to investment risk. And the products we offer are through LPL Financial, and they're not affiliated with Old National Bank. Now on to what we all wanted to talk about. This is the third or fourth time we were talking a little bit ago. This is the third or fourth time that we've had the opportunity to listen to Brian Doherty. I originally met Brian in the latter part of his corporate career when he was with a national sales manager with New York Life. He is the author of the critically acclaimed and award-winning book, Getting Paid to Wait, Bigger Social Security Benefits, the Simple and Easy Way. And if you're interested in getting a copy of that book, let John, George, or I know, and we'll make sure we get you a copy of that. He has been featured in several national media publications, including Forbes, Huffington Post, U.S. News, Newsday, Investment News, and Retirement Income Journal. And he has over 30 years investment experience in the financial services industry. And without further ado, Brian Doherty, sir. Everyone, sir, go ahead.
Thank you, David. And I want to thank Jonathan Weiss for sponsoring me today. And thank everybody for showing up. I think I'm going to make it worth your while. As David said, I've been in the financial services industry for over 30 years, probably over 35 now. And in the last 15 years have been devoted exclusively to Social Security. People ask me all the time, Brian, why did you become a Social Security expert? And it's like, it wasn't something when I was 10 or 11 years old and somebody asked me what I want to be when I grow up. I want to be a Social Security expert. No, I didn't major in Social Security in college. I kind of stumbled upon it probably 16, 17 years ago. My last stint in corporate America, which was with New York Life, I used to travel around the country training financial advisors like David on retirement income planning. So this was probably 2007, 2008. Retirement income planning was starting to become very big because that's when the baby boomers first started to retire. And when they retired, they wanted a retirement income plan, an income plan for their retirement so they had enough income to pay all their bills and enjoy their life. We had this really cool piece of software, retirement income planning software. And I would go around training financial advisors. Well, it turns out that one of the first pieces of information you put into it was your Social Security income. And it also turns out that when these people were having a retirement income plan done, they were getting ready to retire, but they hadn't retired yet. So they hadn't claimed their Social Security yet. But that was one of the first pieces of information we required you to put into the software to get the plan. So I I quickly realized that, boy, if you make that Social Security income larger, it has a really positive impact on that retirement income plan, namely making your assets and savings last a lot longer in retirement. So at the time, I didn't know anything about Social Security, so I decided to educate myself. And from the moment I did, I was blown away. I had no idea Social Security worked the way it did, allowed people to do the things it allows them to do, and had all these great features and benefits. And I also realized that hardly nobody knew this stuff because I'd go to all these big national sales meetings and conferences, and they'd have all these outside speakers come in, talk about all these different topics, and nobody was talking about Social Security. So I decided, you know what, I got to educate people about what a great program this is. So I decided I'm going to write a book. Now, writing a book wasn't on one of my bucket lists of things to do. In fact, I didn't enjoy writing this book, and I'm not going to write another book. But I was very pleasantly surprised when my publisher told me that this book won the International Book Award as the best business personal finance book that year. It also won the Eric Hoffer Award as one of the best business personal finance books that year. Uh, and so this is a multiple award-winning book. I'm a multiple award-winning author. I'm not even trying to sell you the book because if you want a free copy of your book, just let your financial advisor know. And Jonathan Weiss from New York Life will make sure your advisors get copies of my book that they can give to you. And if you want, I'll even sign the book for you. But I got to warn you, my book on Amazon retails for $20. But somebody recently told me that signed copies of my book on eBay are going for 49 cents. So maybe you don't want me to sign it. Let your financial advisor know that too. All right. So I'm going to let's start this presentation. I'm going to share with you some things about Social Security I'm very confident you've never seen or heard before. I've showed this presentation to about 125,000 people over the last 15 years. A lot of them were financial advisors. Sometimes I do presentations for big groups of them. And some of them in the audience, not that many, knew a lot about Social Security. And they always made a point to come up to me afterwards and they'd say, Brian, where'd you get your stuff? I thought I knew my stuff. I mean, I've been to the website, I've read books on Social Security. I've been to other webinars and seminars by Social Security experts, and nobody talks about the stuff that you talk about. Why not? Because some of it's truly amazing. I said, I don't know, but now you know. Go tell all your clients, or if I'm talking to an individual or a client, I say, now go tell everybody that you know, because everybody should know this stuff before they claim their benefits. Now, when I get done, you may think that all I want you to do is wait till age 70 to claim. That's not it. I've done over 2,600 meetings one-on-one. It's usually a Zoom meeting. I live in Saratoga Springs, New York, which is upstate New York. It's about 170 miles due north of New York City. But I'll do a Zoom meeting with a financial advisor and their client. I'm in Saratoga. They're in, Chicago or Nashville or LA or Dallas. Uh, and going into the meeting, I realized that a lot of the people I was meeting with weren't aware of all their claiming options. We're probably going to leave money on the table in terms of lost benefits. So I don't want that to happen to you. I'm going to share with you some things I think everybody should know, including yourself, before you claim. But if you still decide to claim at 62 or 63, that's fine. That's your own decision. One of the things I realized that your Social Security claiming decision is going to be one of your most important retirement decisions. So you want to make sure you make a good decision because basically once you make it, you got to live with it for the rest of your life. So you want to make sure you're aware of all your claiming options, get every dime of benefit you're entitled to, and don't leave any money on the table in terms of lost benefits. Now, I am going to share with you some compelling reasons why you might want to consider delaying. I'm not saying you got to wait till age 70 to delay. You can delay it 2 years, a couple of years, and you can substantially increase your benefit. So, one of the first thing we'll talk about, and this is probably something you're aware of, and that is the longer you delay past age 62, the bigger your benefit is going to be. But what I found is most people don't know by exactly how much. Now, you can claim as early as age 62, but if you do that, you're going to lock into the smallest monthly benefit every month for the rest of your life. Now, there's some math geniuses out there that crunch the numbers and put out white papers, these research papers about what's the best age to claim. The majority of those math geniuses will tell you that claiming Social Security at age 62 may not be the best decision to make. Or you could claim as late as age 70 and lock into the biggest monthly benefit every month for the rest of your life. The majority of those math geniuses will tell you that's probably a better decision to make. Or you can claim at any age in between 62 and 70. But here's the bottom line. For every year that you delay claiming past age 62, your benefit is guaranteed to increase by 6 to 8% per year up until age 70. Now, I call that a risk-free guaranteed rate of return. Where in this still very low interest rate environment are you going to find a risk-free guaranteed rate of return of 6 to 8% per year? Nowhere that I know of. I tell people this is one of the best deals around, and it really is. And you know what? The deal gets even better. Because as you're about to find out, or you might already be aware, Social Security has this great inflation hedge called COLA, the cost of living adjustment feature. And even if you delay past age 62, you still benefit from those COLA increases, even though you haven't claimed your benefit. So let me give you a quick example. Let me take you back to the December of 2021. Now, let's say you were 62 or you knew somebody that was 62 and they say, hey, you know what? I really like my job. I'm going to work for at least one more year from age 62 to age 63 and delay claiming my Social Security. Just by delaying that 1 year, they got a minimum guaranteed increase in their benefit of 7.15%. Now, the COLA increase in 2022 was 5.9%. You basically add those two numbers together. They increased their benefit by a little over 13%, and they locked into that increased benefit for the rest of their life. Now, let's say a year goes by, now it's December of 2022, and they decide, or you decide that, hey, I still like my job. I think I'm going to work for one more year till age 64. Well, by delaying that additional year from age 63 to age 64, they got another minimum guaranteed increase of 6.67%. The COLA increase in 2023 was 8.7%. You add those two together, they increased their benefit by over 15% just by delaying that additional year. So just by delaying 2 years from age 62 to age 64, with a little bit of compounding, they increased their benefit by over 30%, and they locked into it for the rest of their life. That's just delaying 2 years. They can delay for three, four, five, all the way up to 8 years. And for every year that they delay, they're going to get that 6 to 8% minimum guaranteed increase, and any COLA increases on top of it. Now, some people come up to me afterwards and say, Brian, I can't wait till age 70 to claim my benefits. It's just too long. I said, that's fine. You don't have to. But if you can delay for 2, 3, 4, 5 years, your benefit is going to be so much bigger than had you claimed at 62 because of the 6 to 8% minimum guaranteed increase and any COLA increases on top of it. It really is an incredible deal. All right. Now, this is a bar chart. These are just monthly benefit amounts that show you every year that you delay, your benefit increases by that 6 to 8%. We didn't adjust this for inflation. All right. Some other things you might want to consider why you might want to delay. One is longevity. I'm going to share with you the complete definition of life expectancy. I think I'll surprise you, and it's good news. How to maximize the dollar benefit of COLA. How to get the biggest pay raise every year in your Social Security benefit for the rest of your life. A lot of people get the smallest pay raise. I'm going to show you how to get the biggest pay raise. Maximize their survivor benefit. Every married couple and divorced spouses that are qualified for a survivor benefit should know how this works, especially if you're a married woman or a divorced woman, and I'll share with you why in a minute. And then real quick, I might take you back to my retirement income planning days and show how if you make a better Social Security claiming decision, you can make your assets and savings last a lot longer in your retirement. Hopefully as long as you live, if not longer than that, so you can leave money to your kids or grandkids or favorite charity. All right, so people don't fully understand the meaning of life expectancy. This is a term we've heard all our life. We might think we know what it means, but I can almost guarantee you, you don't know the complete definition. Now, if we put men and women together in this country, they have a life expectancy of age 78. And I think because life expectancy is age 78, that most people think that most people die by age 78. That's not it. Life expectancy is simply a statistical term. And what it means is, yeah, 50% of people will die before age 78, but 50% of people will live up to and beyond age 78. And I tell financial advisors and their clients all over the country that if your clients have a 50% probability of living up to and beyond age 78, well, then you should plan on that happening because that's a very high probability. But that's only one aspect to life expectancy. There's a second aspect to it that hardly anybody knows, and that's this. The longer you live, the farther out you push your life expectancy. Now here I have a chart, and by the way, all these charts and graphs and stuff I'm about to show you are in my multiple award-winning book. So don't forget to ask your financial advisor. You get a free copy of it. So on the horizontal axis here, I have ages from age 65. 65 all the way up to age 105. On the vertical axis, I have the probability of living to those ages. All right, so if a man lives to age 65, we go up to the 50% probability, which is the definition of life expectancy. He pushes his life expectancy out to age 90. If a woman lives to 65, she pushes her life expectancy out to age 91, and there's a 50% probability that at least one of them is going to live to be age 95. Now, for all the men on the call, including myself, I got some really bad news for you. If anybody's going to live to be age 95, it ain't going to be you. It's going to be all the women on the call. Women overwhelmingly outlive men. It isn't even close. In fact, today, if you look at the number of men and women alive at age 85, there are twice as many women alive at age 85 than there are men. There are three times as many women alive in their 90s than there are men. And if I take you back to the 2010 census, there were 53,000 people in this country aged 100 or older. 44,000 of them were women. Women live longer than men. Social Security is a bigger issue for them because they receive their benefit payments for a longer period of time than us men do because they live longer than we do. All right. Uh, Now, the story isn't all bad for men. You know, you live to 65, there's a good chance you push your life expectancy out to about age 90 or at least into the late 80s. And with this chart, I'm not trying to convince anybody you're going to live to be age 90, 95, or 100, but a lot of people underestimate their life expectancy. They think they're only going to live to be like age 80. If I could just move that needle out at least into the mid 80s, maybe the late 80s, I think I'd put you in a better position to make a better Social Security claiming decision. Maybe you'll delay claiming for a couple more years because you're probably going to receive that bigger benefit for a longer period of time because you're probably going to live longer than you think. All right, that's good news. All right, cost of living adjustment feature. When I first started doing my research about Social Security and I found out what an incredible inflation hedge this is, and then our government gives it to everybody for free, I was blown away. I call it one of our government's greatest gifts. It really is. And for most people, it's going to be the only pay raise they get in retirement. If it's the only pay raise they get, they probably want it to be as big as possible. But a lot of people lock into the smallest pay raise. Let me show you how to change that. So we're just going to look up here. This is a monthly income chart, all right? And all we're going to do is contrast if somebody were to claim their benefit at age 62, they claim at age 62, they go to their Social Security benefit statement. And on the benefit statement, it says, we, Social Security, will pay you $1,875 a month if you claim at age 62. Now, if that same person, instead of claiming at 62 or to wait till age 70, they go to their benefit statement again, and Social Security says, well, if you wait till age 70, we're going to increase your benefit to $3,300 a month. Now, the difference between these two amounts starts off at $1,425 a month. They make $1,425 more a month if they claimed at age 70 as opposed to claiming at age 62. All right. Now, this column here, we're going to go 20 years out into the future. I assumed an annual COLA increase. Every year, the COLA increase is going to be 3%. Why did I choose 3%? Because that's the 75-year average for inflation. All right. So there's 1875 a month, 20 years later with an annual COLA increase of 3%. That 1875 a month grows to 3386 a month. There's 3300 a month 20 years later with an annual COLA increase of 3%. That 3300 a month 20 years later goes to 5959 a month. And now check this out. Now the difference has grown to $2,573 a month. They'd make $2,573 more a month if they claimed at age 70 as opposed to claiming it at age 62. Now, here's a concept. It's a simple but a powerful one. Everybody gets the same COLA percentage increase. It doesn't matter when you claim your benefits. But if you apply that same percentage to a bigger benefit, it results in bigger dollar increases every year for the rest of your life. If you want to get the biggest pay raise possible in your Social Security benefit payment every year for the rest of your life, then delay claiming your benefits as long as possible, ideally till age 70. If you want to get the smallest pay raise possible every year for the rest of your life, claim your benefit as early as possible at age 62, and you're applying that COLA percentage to the smallest benefit possible, and you'll get the smallest pay raise. Now, once again, people come up to me and say, Brian, I just can't wait till age 70. I said, that's fine. You don't have to. But if you could just delay for, 2, 3, 4 years, your benefit is going to be bigger than had you claimed at age 62, and you're going to receive bigger pay raises every year claiming at later ages as opposed to claiming at age 62. All right. Now, this next slide I'm about to show you is the one that always blows people away. Even the people that done a lot of research and knew a lot about Social Security had never seen this slide before, and they find it to be truly amazing. In fact, this next slide will be worth you taking the time out of your day to attend this webinar. For the life of me, I don't know why nobody else talks about this, because people tell me all the time they've been to other Social Security expert webinars and seminars, and nobody talks about this, Brian. Why not? I go, I don't know, but now you know, make sure you go and tell everybody else because everybody should know this and it's good news. So let me set this up. When I was having my multiple award-winning book published, right before I did that, I had a bunch of really smart math people check the math. And a couple of them came back and they said, hey, Brian, we understand your concept about applying the same COLA percentage to a bigger benefit, get, bigger dollar increases, pay raises every year for the rest of your life. But you have a major flaw in your analysis. I do. I said, what is it? Well, then they brought me to this chart again. They said, well, you have this person claim at age 62. Then you take them 20 years out into the future. Brian, if you had 20 years to age 62, that brings you to age 82. Now, instead of claiming at 62, you have them claim at age 70. You also take them out 20 years into the future. If you had 20 to age 70, that brings you to age 90. Brian, you are not comparing apples to apples. And if you did, you'd have to look at what this amount, 59.59 a month, would be at age 82, not age 90. It's going to be a lot smaller than 59.59. The difference is going to be a lot smaller, and you can make a good case for claiming early. So on the face of it, it seems like a really valid point, but it's not a valid point because of the incredible way that Social Security credits COLA if you delay. Ladies and gentlemen, when I first read about this on the Social Security website about 17, 18 years ago, I said, wait a minute, I can't be reading this right. Nobody could do this. So I reread this part 5, 6, 7 times. I finally realized, hey, I am reading this right. And I also realized that only the federal government can do this. Nobody else could do this and still stay in business that long. All right, so here's how it works. Now, we're going to go up to this small chart here. We're going to assume this is representative of yours or somebody's Social Security benefit statement, right? We're only going to look at 3 benefit amounts. Everything plays off of the full retirement age benefit. We assume this person at a full retirement age is 66. They go to the Social Security benefit statement and says that if you wait till age 66, we Social Security will pay you $2,500 a month. The second benefit we'll look at is they claim it early as possible at age 62. The benefit statement says, well, if you claim at 62, we're going to decrease your benefit to $1,875 a month. The third benefit we'll look at if they wait till age 70. Go to their statement and says, well, if you wait till 70, we're going to increase your benefit to $3,300 a month. Now we'll go down here to this chart. With column A, I have the claiming ages between 62 and 70. Column B, I show you what happens if they do claim at 62. They start off at $1,875 a month, and it goes up a little bit every year because of the annual COLA increase. Now, check this out. If they wait until age 66, they're not going to get $2,500 a month. They're going to get $2,813 a month. Why? Because if they wait till 66, Social Security is going to take this $2,500, okay? Keep in mind, they're 66 years old. They're going to take that $2,500. They're going to go back in time to when they were 62. They're going to see what the annual COLA percentage increase was for that year when they were age 62. They're going to take that percentage. They're going to apply it to the $2,500. That's going to make that benefit bigger. Now they're going to take that new bigger benefit. They're going to go back in time to when they were age 63. They're going to see what the annual COLA percentage increase was for that year when they were 63. They're going to apply that to that new bigger benefit. It's going to make it even bigger. So they're going to do that for 4 years in a row. So if they claim at age 66, they don't get $2,500 a month. They get $2,813 a month. Why? Because they get 4 years of what I call retroactive COLA credits. Now, story gets even better. It gets a lot better if they wait till age 70. They're not going to get $3,300 a month. They're going to get $4,180 a month. Why? Because they're going to get 8 years of retroactive COLA credits. Ladies and gentlemen, that's incredible. That's absolutely how it works. And nobody Nobody knows that it works like this. Well, I can't say nobody. I've showed it to 125,000 people. Now I've showed it to you. You know it. Go tell everybody you know that your actual benefits are going to be substantially bigger than the benefit amounts on your statement. That's good news. And the reason why is because of retroactive COLA credits. Now, real quick, I want to take you back to those really smart math people that, proofread my book and said I had a major problem in my analysis because they said that this is actually the age 90 benefit. No, it isn't. This is actually the age 82 benefit. You know why? Because if they wait till 70, they're going to get 8 years of retroactive COLA credits, right? They'll go all the way back to age 62. So they get 8 years of retroactive COLA credits and then 12 years of COLA credits going forward after they claim at 70. So this 59.59 is their age 82 benefit. And I was comparing apples to apples. And one more thing, one more point I want to make, and I get this question all the time. They're like, and maybe one of you attending today wants to ask it. They say, hey, Brian, what's the break-even age? I mean, yeah, I can claim at 66 and get $2,500, but you know what? I could have claimed at 62. The benefit's smaller, 1875 a month. But if I wait till age 66, I'm passing up 4 years of income because I could have claimed at age 62. So how long is it going to take me to make up for those 4 years of income if I wait till age 66? Well, I've been asked this question hundreds of times. And just based on my experience, anecdotal experience, people that usually ask me this question are guys, because guys think they're good in math. But I've learned that they've already done the calculation. So I ask them, I said, well, have you already calculated the break-even age? And they have. And it's the same for everybody. It's 12 years. So you add 12 years to age 66, that means it's going to take them till age 78 to make up for this 4 years of income they didn't receive. Now, I asked them, I said, let me ask you a question. When you did your calculation, did you use these benefit amounts on your Social Security benefit statement? They said, well, yeah, of course I did, Brian. I said, well, now you know these benefit amounts are too low. You calculated a break-even age that was too high. And if you're going to make a claiming decision based on some metric like break-even age, you should calculate it correctly. And you calculated a break-even age that was too high. Now, if you assume even like, 2.5% COLA increases, you're going to bring that break-even age down anywhere from 2 to 3 years. And if you assume that inflation is going to be bigger over that period of time, you bring it down even more. If you're going to make a decision based on a break-even age, you should at least calculate it correctly, and nobody does. Okay, let's talk about the survivor benefit. This is really, really important. I know when you retire, who wants to ask themselves this question? What happens after one of us dies? Or what happens to our Social Security income after one of us dies if it's a married couple? And divorce spouses, excuse me, are also, qualified, some of them to get a survivor benefit as well, based on their ex-spouse, if their ex-spouse predeceases them. All right, let me show you how this works. So we'll assume the wife has a full retirement age benefit of $1,900 a month. That's if she waits to her full retirement age of 66. Husband's full retirement age benefit is $2,500 a month. Now, the only reason I made the husband's benefit bigger is because 75% of the time, husbands have the bigger benefit. All right. Now, of those 2,600 meetings I've done, one-on-one Zoom meetings with financial advisors and their clients, I'd say 75% of them are with married couples. Here's what I tell every married couple before the meeting starts. I tell them whoever has the bigger benefit of the two, that's the more important one. And if you're going to delay claiming any benefit, delay claiming that one, the bigger benefit, for two reasons. One, you can both enjoy that bigger benefit while you're both alive. And two, that benefit will eventually become the survivor benefit or the only benefit the surviving spouse will receive after the first spouse dies. After the first spouse dies, the smaller benefit stops. You're never going to get it again. The surviving spouse is only going to get the bigger benefit every month for the rest of their life. So whoever has the bigger benefit, the longer you delay it, the bigger you make it, and you also increase the size of the survivor benefit. All right. Let me show you how this works. And I'm going to surprise you with something here. So again, same benefit amounts, wife full retirement age 1900, husband's 2500. Now, if the wife happened to have the bigger benefit, I'd tell her to delay as long as possible to make the survivor benefit bigger. But the husband has a bigger benefit. So here we're just going to look at his claiming ages 62, 66, and 70. Now, check this out. The wife's monthly check at age 82, it's the same, $2,573 a month, regardless of the age in which the husband claims. Why is that? Well, believe it or not, in this case, I had the wife claim her benefit at age 62. In every case, she claimed at age 62. So why would I do that? I just gave you all these really compelling reasons why people should delay claiming their benefits as long as possible. Well, those math geniuses that I mentioned before, they put out a white paper on who should, what's the best age to claim. And they looked at married couples. And they said that whoever has the smaller benefit should probably claim it early. Why? Even as early as age 62. Why? Because that's the benefit you're going to receive for the shortest period of time. Because once the first spouse dies, that benefit stops. And if you delay claiming it, you shorten that period of time even more. So claim it early, even as early as age 62. So that's what I did here in this example. And 20 years later, because of the annual COLA increase, the wife's monthly check at age 82 has grown to $2,573 a month. If the husband had also claimed at 62, 20 years later, his check has grown to $33.86 a month. If we add these two checks together, the combined total of those two checks is $5,959 a month. That's almost $72,000 a year. If you annualize it, right? That's a monthly payment. If you multiply it by 12, it comes out to almost $72,000. That's pretty good. But check this out. We assume the husband dies at age 82. This benefit check stops. Now the wife is only getting a check of $3,725 a month, which is going to pay her $44,700 for the year. Remember, when the husband was alive and they were getting 59.59, they were making almost $72,000. He dies, and now her income falls to 44,700. That's a drop of almost 30 grand. That's substantial. Now, if the husband had waited till age 66, the one survivor benefit would have paid the wife 54,180. That's better. But better yet, best yet, if he had waited till age 70, the one survivor benefit would pay the wife $71,508. Easier to live on 71,000 as opposed to 44,000 or 54,000. All right. Now, one more chart here. Let me check the time. Okay, we're doing good. So this is the same chart as the previous slide. The only thing I did was I eliminated the age 66 line where the husband claims at age 66. So all we're going to do is compare both the husband and wife claim at 62 to if only the husband who has the bigger benefit if he waits till age 70 to claim. All right. So both the husband and wife claim at age 62. 20 years later, with those COLA increases, the husband's monthly check is 33.86. The wife's is 25.73. We add these two together. The combined total of those two checks is $5,959 a month. Now, if only the husband, who had the bigger check, had waited till age 70 to claim it, his one check, 59.59, which also becomes a survivor benefit, the one survivor benefit check, 59.59, is as big as these two checks combined had they both claimed at age 62. That's how you leave a survivor benefit that is as big as two checks in one, greatly reducing the probability that their surviving spouse, which is overwhelmingly the wife, will struggle financially after the first spouse dies. Now, let me leave you before we move on, and we're almost done, with an incredible statistic from the Social Security website. When I first read this, I was like, come on, this is unbelievable. But it's on the website. So they'll tell you now every month, Social Security sends out 70 million benefit checks every month. Of those 70 million, 4 to 5 million of them are survivor benefit checks. And they will tell you of the 4 to 5 million survivor benefit checks they send out every month, 95% of them are sent to women. 95%. That backs up my claim that women live longer than men, husbands predecease their wives. But I tell every married woman and every divorced woman that at some point in your life, chances are that survivor benefit is going to play an important role, even a critically important role in you maintaining your quality of life and standard of living after your husband dies, because the probability that he will predecease you is very, very high. All right. Let me do this real quick. I want to take you back to my retirement income planning days and show you how making a better Social Security claiming decision can make your assets and savings last a lot longer in retirement. All right, we got the same benefit amounts for the wife, 1900, husband, 2500. What we're going to do is we're going to compare if they both claim as early as possible, both claim at age 62, to a strategy I like. I call it claim early, claim late. Whoever has a smaller benefit claims at 62. Whoever has the bigger benefit waits till age 70. Now, they have an annual income need at age 70 of $100,000 a year. This is to pay all their bills and still have some fun in retirement, right? Now, don't get caught up on that income need of 100,000. If your income need is only 60 or 70 or 80, it still works. If your income need is 125, $150,000, it still works, okay? So, let's see, if they both claimed at 62, at age 70, because of those annual COLA increases, Social Security is going to pay them $50,160 for the year, their Social Security income. But if they use my claim early, claim late strategy, we're going to increase their Social Security income to $71,820 a year. We've increased their Social Security income by almost 50% by using the claim early, claim late strategy. Now, your financial advisors know, and maybe you do too, that your biggest challenge, your biggest risk in retirement is longevity risk, the risk of living too long. And I could tell you after doing 2,600 meetings that most people think the biggest risk is dying young. And from a purely economic and financial standpoint, dying young is not the problem. Dying young solves all the problems because when you're dead, you stop spending money. But living a long life and maintaining your quality of life and standard of living, that is the biggest challenge. Because the longer you live, for a number of different reasons, it becomes more difficult to do to maintain your quality of life and standard of living. So longevity risk is the biggest risk. Can you get some longevity insurance? Yes, you can. You know what the best kind is? Guaranteed lifetime income. That's exactly what your Social Security income is. I tell financial advisors and their clients all over the country, look, you can outlive your assets and savings, but you cannot outlive your Social Security income. You're going to get it to the day you die. And you should take a lot of comfort in that, and most people do. So by helping them make a better Social Security claiming decision, we got them 50% more longevity insurance, and we reduced the biggest risk in retirement, longevity risk. That's a big thing. One of the other big risk is withdrawal rate risk. I've worked with hundreds, I don't know, maybe thousands of financial advisors. And some of them, they'll tell me, hey, Brian, my client retires with a couple $1 million and they think they're a millionaire. Well, they are a millionaire. They got a couple $1 million. But he says, but they think it's going to last forever. They go out, they buy vacation homes in Florida or in Arizona. They buy homes for their kids. They take these incredible vacations. They buy these spectacular cars. And before you know it, 6 years later, they're down to six or $700,000. They look at the financial advisor and say, "What did you do to me?" Advisor says, "I didn't do anything. The market's been great for the last 10 years. You've just been spending too much money." Withdrawal rate risk is a big risk. So here, they if they both claim it at 62, they need 100,000. Both claim at 62, 8 years later at 70, Social Security's paying them $50,160. That means they have to withdraw $49,840 from their accumulated assets and savings to meet their income need of 100,000. But over here, we increase their Social Security income to almost 72,000. Now they only have to draw $28,000 to meet their income need of 100,000. Look, and I'm not a math major. You don't have to be to realize that if you're only withdrawing $28,000 a year, as opposed to almost $50,000 a year over here, your assets and savings are going to last a lot longer using the claim early, claim late strategy. So again, making a better Social Security claiming decision would greatly reduce withdrawal rate risk. One of the third biggest risks in retirement is inflation. We spent some time earlier in the presentation talking about what a great inflation hedge COLA is. In fact, I think it's the best inflation hedge around. It's attached to your Social Security income. So they need 100 here. Social Security provides 50. That means 50% of their income need is automatically going to adjust to inflation. But over here, same income need, 100,000, we increase their Social Security income to almost 72%. So almost 72% of their income is automatically going to adjust to inflation. Making a better Social Security claiming decision, we put them in a better position to keep up with inflation. So real quick, by making a better Social Security claiming decision, increasing their income, we greatly reduce longevity risk, biggest risk in retirement, withdrawal rate risk, and inflation risk. It's all good. And we put this person or married couple in a much better position to be more financially comfortable and less stressed out about money in their retirement. I think we all want that. All right. This is the last thing I got. And then we're done. We'll open it up for questions. So let me just say, back, whatever, 16, 17 years ago, when I first started researching Social Security, I think a lot of people are skeptical about government programs, that maybe there's a lot of waste and all that kind of stuff. And I got to tell you, I was one of them. I started doing my research, and you know what? There were so many surprises when it came to Social Security. And I got to tell you, they were all good ones. I mean, that's why it blew me away, and I decided to write a book. And this is one of the best ones, the spousal benefit. One spouse is entitled to 50% of the other spouse's work history benefit at full retirement age. Let me give you an example to show you how this works. So we got Chris's full retirement age benefit, $2,000 a month. Let's say Chris is the husband. Lee's benefit's only $500 a month. So they're both the same age. They both have a full retirement age of 66. They both decide to work to 66, retire, and claim their Social Security. Chris does that. He gets his $2,000, right? We didn't adjust it for inflation or retroactive COLA credits. Lee does. She gets a 66. She claims Social Security, and because she's entitled to a spousal benefit, she gets $1,000 a month. If she wasn't entitled to a spousal benefit, she only get $500 a month. But because she was, she doubled her Social Security income to $1,000 a month. That's pretty cool. All right, now check this out. Something hardly anybody knows. And again, this is a really cool thing. One more sip of water. So let's say I'm talking to Chris and Lee, and I say, hey, Chris, man, try to wait till at least 66, your full retirement age to claim. Chris says, Brian. Look, I worked for 40 years. I paid FICA taxes. Those are the Social Security taxes that come out of your paycheck. Social Security uses that to make all the benefit payments to people currently receiving benefits. I paid those FICA taxes. I paid hundreds of thousands of dollars into the system. And you know what? Chris's company had to match that dollar for dollar. So anyway, he says, I'm not taking the chance of waiting till 66. What if I die at age 64 before I get to claim it? I get nothing. Not taking that chance, Brian. I'm claiming at age 62. I don't care if they reduce my benefit, which they do, because Chris claimed at 62. He doesn't get $2,000 a month. His benefit is reduced to only $1,500. But Lee says to Chris, hey, you know what? I really like my job, Chris. I'm going to still work till age 66, retire, and claim my Social Security, which she does, and she still gets $1,000 a month. You would think that because Chris claimed his benefit early is reduced to $1,500, 50% of that or half of that is only $750. And that would be the amount of the spousal benefit that Lee would get. But it doesn't matter when Chris claims his benefit. He could claim it early, he could claim it late. It doesn't matter. The spousal benefit that Lee will receive is still based on Chris's full retirement age benefit of $2,000 a month. As long as she waits to her full retirement age, she's still entitled to 50% of this $2,000 a month or $1,000. She still doubles her income. All right, so that's the last one I got. But here's something. One more thing. You get a free copy of my multiple award-winning book. You should do that. But the other thing is, and I think this is more important. This is, I think, where we can really help you. We're also going to give you free access to the Social Security calculator that I created. I call it my Claim with Confidence Social Security Calculator. This is what I've used as the basis of those 2,600 meetings I've done with financial advisors and their clients. We need a few basic pieces of information from you, your marital status, are you married, divorced, widowed, or single, your dates of birth, and your Social Security full retirement age benefit amounts. All right, you can get those right from your Social Security benefit statement. That's it. That's all we need to run the analysis. And the output, the report, will have up to 3 potential claiming strategies for your unique situation. And if you want, I'll even get on the phone. We'll set up a Zoom call or whatever with you and your financial advisor, and I'll walk you through the analysis and help you pick the best claiming strategy for your personal situation. Now, I highly recommend that you take advantage of this. And well, the one thing I don't recommend you doing is thinking, if I can't figure it out, I'll just go to Social Security and they'll tell me. That's a really bad plan because unfortunately, And this is a big problem. Social Security customer service employees give out incomplete and wrong information all the time. It's a big issue. Now, it's happened to me a couple times with some people I've advised, but you know what? I've got some concrete information on how big a problem this is. Now, keep in mind that 70 million people get a Social Security benefit check every month. About 5 years ago, Social Security reported the results of an internal audit they did on their own customer service employees. Once again, 70 million people get a check every month. What they did was they took a sample size of 13,000 cases. And what they concluded was in over 11,000 of those 13,000 cases, their customer service employees gave out incomplete or wrong information, and it cost those 11,000 plus people a cumulative total of $142 million in lost benefits. $142 million. That's bad enough. Okay. They reported these results 5 years ago. Social Security has not done anything to correct their mistake. They haven't done anything to make these people whole. They just kind of say, yeah, our people are incompetent. They give out wrong information, incomplete information, cost them $142 million, but those 11,000 plus people are just going to have to live with it. And you know what? The 11,000 plus people don't even know they've been shortchanged. All right. So even if you think your situation is pretty straightforward, I highly recommend that you have an analysis done because you might not be aware of some option that is available to you. And we'll make sure you get every dime of benefit that you're entitled to and don't leave any money on the table in terms of lost benefits. So with that, David, I'll turn it back to you if there's any questions.
Uh, Thank you, Brian. And so again, if you have questions, please type them into the Q&A box down on the bottom of your screen or wherever you have your toolbar. While we're waiting for people to put those questions in, Brian, I've got one that it's always the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
That 2032 question, right? So I think it's moved up to 2032 now that we had a couple years with some really high inflation back in 22 and 23 with 8% COLA increases, 8 and 5%, I think, somewhere in that range. What happens when we run out of money? Now, I
Yeah.
know you're not a policy wonk, but
Yeah, no, no, no. Well, this is the most frequently asked question I get. Isn't Social Security in a lot of trouble? And, is it going to go bankrupt and stop making benefit payments? And a lot of people think that. In fact, I think the majority of people in this country think that eventually Social Security is going to go broke and stop making benefit payments. And a lot of them use that as a reason to claim early at 62. Hey, I better get as much money out of there before it goes broke and they stop making benefit payments. Let me just tell you that will never happen. And let me where people get this misperception, David, because every year Social Security trustees they put out a report on in the financial condition of the system. And the latest report, it varies 2032, 2033, 2034, that if the politicians don't do anything to shore up or fix the long-term funding issue, because there is one, then in the year 20, let's say 33, we'll do the average, they'll have to reduce everybody's benefits by about 23%. So you get about 77% of what you were getting. Now, if they have to do that, and I don't think they will, Social Security is on sound financial footing and can meet all its benefit obligations through the year 2098. 2098, almost into the next century. That's the worst case scenario. That's the worst thing that could happen, a benefit reduction of somewhere around 20 to 23%. All right, now where people misinterpret this to think that Social Security is totally broken, stop making benefit payments, because the last time they had a major long-term funding issue was back in 1982, 83. And what they did was they set up a committee, and Alan Greenspan, who was the chairman of the committee, who went on to become chairman of the Federal Reserve Board, and they ended up fixing the system. And one of the things they did is they increased the FICA taxes to 6.2%. Those are the taxes that come out of your paycheck every pay period. They use that money to pay people that are receiving Social Security benefit payments. Now, they knew for like 30 years they would take in more money from those FICA taxes than they had to pay out in benefits. So every year there would be a surplus. So what they did, they put that surplus into a surplus account. And at the height, there was about $2.7 trillion in that account. Now there's about $2.5 trillion in that account because they knew there would come a day 30 years down the road when the baby boomers really started to retire that they'd take in less money from those FICA taxes than they had to pay out in benefits. So they'd have to dip into that surplus account to make full benefit payments, right? Which they've been doing for a number of years. So now it's down to about 2.5 trillion. And if the politicians don't do anything to address the long-term funding issue, then in the year 2033, that surplus account will be depleted. That 2.5 trillion will be gone. Now, a lot of people misinterpret that to mean that Social Security is totally broke. Social Security will never go totally broke. Those FICA taxes, with those FICA taxes that come out of everybody's paycheck, they take in over $100 billion a month. They take in over $1 trillion a year. David, it's never going to go broke. Yeah, maybe they have to reduce benefits by 23%. I don't think they'll have to do that. Now, if when they get around to fixing the system, and they will, and politicians usually wait till the last minute, which they did the last time in '83. Uh, they wait that long, but if they get around to fixing the system, there'll probably be some benefit cuts. All right. They did that in 1983. But you know what? They implemented those benefit cuts over 20 to 30 years. And people like myself over the age of 60, back then, people over the age of 60, 55, 60 were grandfathered. They weren't affected by those benefit cuts. Now, younger people were, but they have more time to make that up. And I fully expect when push comes to shove, the politicians will get around to fixing the system. And if there are any benefit cuts, people my age and people over the age of 60, whatever, will be grandfathered. I don't think we'll have to worry about that. Now, I can't say with 100% certainty that's going to happen, but that's what they did the last time. And, claiming Social Security at age 62 because you think it's going to go broke and stop making benefit payments, not going to happen. And one more thing, I want 70 million people get a benefit check every month. Now, of those 70 million, about 10 million of them, that's all they got. That's the only source of income they have in retirement, 10 million people. Okay. And so if Social Security were to stop making benefit payments, those people not only join the ranks of poverty, David, but they'd be homeless and destitute. And there's another 10 million people where Social Security makes up more than 50% of their income in retirement. They'd be in a lot of trouble too. Look, the politicians know this. And when push comes to shove, they'll get around to fixing the system. And if there are benefit cuts, I fully expect that people like me over the age of 60 will be grandfathered.
Yeah. I normally just say, have you ever seen a government program go away?
Yeah, that's right.
So,
So,
a quick follow up on that, and it's I know you really covered that in detail, Brian. But what about the $37 trillion in debt that we're facing right now as a nation? It has no effect on that.
no,
Maybe you can
actually,
be brief on this.
yeah, this is another thing that kind of ticks me off, David, because people talk about that deficit and, they talk about Social Security and Medicare. Social Security cannot borrow money to make benefit payments. It's illegal for them to borrow money to make benefit payments. Okay. So that $37 trillion worth of debt, Social Security did not contribute one penny to it, not one penny to it. Now, they could change the law in the future and let them borrow money to make benefit payments. But since 1940, when they first started paying out the first check till now, 2025, 2026, they have not borrowed one penny to make benefit payments. So they didn't contribute at all to that $37 trillion of debt.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. Um, Another question. If using the claim early and claim late strategy, will the early spouse with the lower benefits still get the 50% of the higher spouse benefit?
No, if they claim there's a couple things. One, well, if they claim at age 62, the spousal benefit. First of all, you have to wait for the other spouse to claim their own benefit first, okay, before you can claim a spousal benefit. So let's say they're the same age, and the husband has the bigger benefit, and he wants to wait till age 70. So if the wife has a smaller benefit, she could only claim her own benefit at age 62. All right. And if she has a full retirement age of 67, she's only going to get 70% of that her full retirement age benefit because she claimed early. And then down the road, when the husband claims at age 70, then she could switch to a bigger spousal benefit if it's bigger than her own and receive that for the rest of her life. Now, she's not going to quite receive 50% his full retirement age benefit payment. The reason is because she claimed her own benefit early at age 62. But David, I've done so many of these analysis with exactly that situation where the wife has a very small benefit, the husband has a bigger one. He waits till age 70. I recommend she claim her own benefit at 62. It's reduced. And then wait till 70 and switch to the bigger spousal benefit. It's still usually a substantial bump up in the amount of money the wife makes from that spousal benefit. I don't think she should wait. And if she does want to wait, well, the other caveat would be if she's still working. If you claim any benefit prior to your full retirement age, with if you claim at 62, you are, and you continue to work, you're subject to Social Security's earnings test, and you can only earn so much money. Next year, the threshold's like $24,400. And if the wife who claimed at 62 has earned income in excess of that amount, then for every $2 of earned income in excess of that amount, she have to get back $1 of received Social Security benefit payments. Now, once you hit your full retirement age, the earnings test goes away. You can claim your benefit, make $1 million, and you'll never have to give back any of your received Social Security benefit payments. So, if the wife is still working at 62, I probably wouldn't recommend her claiming at 62. Either wait till she stops working or hits her full retirement age, and then claim her own benefit, and then later switch to the spousal benefit.
Okay. And I'm going to throw one last question out there. This is not from the crowd. This is from me, Brian. If you can just address one thing, Social Security Fairness Act that Biden signed into law and took effect this year. If you could just address that real quick, that'd be great.
Yeah. So what they did with that is they took away I don't want to, I guess I'll call them two programs. One was the windfall elimination provision, and two was the government pension offset. And this applied to people, usually, government workers. There's a number of teachers, and I don't know if you're in Illinois.
Illinois is one.
Yeah, where they didn't pay FICA taxes. When they were working, they didn't pay FICA taxes. So based on their time being a teacher, they weren't qualified for Social Security, right, to get their own benefit. Now, there's a couple of things. One, if they retire, they get their teacher's benefit. It used to be, you could, normally she could claim, let's say it's the wife that was a teacher, she could claim a spousal benefit and get that 50% of her husband's full retirement age benefit amount. But they would be subject to the government pension offset. And what they would do is they would take 2/3 of her monthly pension amount and they subtract that from whatever spousal benefits she'd be entitled to. And many times, David, that would totally eliminate the spousal benefit. Um, and the other thing is sometimes teachers or firemen or police officers, they work for 20, 25 years, they qualify for the pension, then they go out and they get a regular job where they do pay FICA taxes and they do qualify for Social Security. In that case, the windfall elimination provision would reduce the amount of Social Security benefit that they would get. So this upset a lot of people. Now, Biden, on his last day, he signed a bill that eliminated both those programs. So now that teacher that worked and just gets her pension and never qualified for Social Security, she can get a spousal benefit and get up to 50% of her spouse's full retirement age benefit. And if they do go out and get another job and qualify for Social Security, now they eliminated the windfall elimination provision so they can get their pension and their full Social Security.
Which obviously that's the name of the Act, the Fairness Act, which is and it was bipartisan, so it was great. It was a fantastic law that came into being. So I appreciate it. Brian, thank you very much for your time. Thank you for sharing your vast experience and knowledge. We appreciate you every year. Jonathan, thank you for hosting this event and bringing Brian around this year. And finally, thank you to Heather and Michelle for all the work that you two do behind the scenes here. So with that, thank you all very much. Have a happy holiday season, and we look forward to seeing you again next time.
Bye,
Thanks,
everybody.
Brian.
Yep.